Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode or episode 0 of the List League. I'm Liz. My pronouns are they, them.
Hi, everybody. I am Rick. My pronouns are he, him, and we are thrilled to be setting this off with you all. Why am I talking? There's a third face in this picture. Who's this third face?
I'm Kyle, he, him, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get an introduction because I'm not really made for the main screen here. I'll be working behind the scenes. See you later.
Kyle
Awesome.
definitely has a face for radio, but that's okay. I'm not much better.
For sure. That's why he's our producer, video editor, and not the star, not the moneymaker. So, you might be asking yourself, what is the List League? What is this thing that I've stumbled across? So, Rick and I had an idea to get together and start a podcast, and we asked ourselves, what might two nerds be into that they could podcast about? And of course, we landed on bracketing. But we're not going to bracket like March Madness sports ball stuff. We're going to bracket things that we are interested in. So it could be a little bit of anything, really.
Yeah, and I think part of what we're getting into is we really wanted to have fun, and I love the idea here that there isn't necessarily a right or a wrong. It's just kind of going through it, because that's, as Liz and I have worked together, that's something I really enjoyed about hanging out with Liz, is that we get to have these conversations where there isn't a right answer. It's just sort of making us think about things. And I've always loved thought experiments, which to a certain extent, that's kind of what brackets are, right? Is they're just thought experiments of putting things against each other that aren't always compared, and maybe under some weird theme. And we like I said, we get to have some fun with it and hopefully make ourselves laugh and make you laugh as we go through this whole process.
Absolutely. I love a question that you can't just Google. I want to sit here and yell at the people I care about until we get to a final answer. So,
until you agree with me.
Or until you don't agree, but you give up. That is my goal. So.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
It's going to be a long podcast, is what it's going to be. But
well, and that's the other thing, is hopefully they won't be too crazy long, because when we get into this, we put a couple ideas together here for a sample bracket. And really the idea is, in the beginning, we give a short introduction of what this idea is. It may be something we actually like. It may be something we don't like, because the brackets are, well, they're just kind of thrown together. In some cases, they will be seeded, but they're just randomized by Kyle behind the scenes, pulling all the magic buttons. And we get a little bit of time to, you don't pull a button, though. He's pushing the magic buttons.
I pull the buttons.
Oh, boy. Remember, this is a G-rated podcast. So the idea here is we're going to basically have a little bit of time to explain what this thing is. We'll have some conversation over it, and we'll decide. If Liz and I can't come to a decision, that's where we're going to ask a guest to come in and help us break the tie. And sometimes, who knows what they're going to say, right? That's the beauty of it. It's just a third party. So I think it's going to be a good time. What do you think, Liz? Should we dive into our first bracket?
Yeah, let's try a bracket, see how this works out, and make sure the audience is along for the ride.
All right. So in theory, back behind us or somewhere around us in post-production, Kyle is pulling and pushing all those magical buttons to show this bracket that we came up with before this episode. And the idea was, well, Liz, I should let you explain it, because there's no way I'm going to say the word correctly.
What?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving. Yeah. So, I am vegan.
And I am not.
And we decided, because I'm always thinking about Thanksgiving food, that we should do a mini bracket of best Thanksgiving side dishes. I've worked hard, my family's worked hard to be able to veganize every side dish that my heart could desire, and I think I know which one's the best.
And see, I like this too, because while I'm not vegan, my life partner is a selective vegetarian, right? Like does white meat, but doesn't do other different things. And that's always been fun, especially with Thanksgiving, because I made that very clear to my family. And the first thing that my life partner was offered was ham for Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh boy. And we still have a little bit of fun with that every once in a while. So that's where I thought I might be at a disadvantage here, because I was like, well, if I want gravy, and that's Liz brought up the.
Oh, yeah.
What is it again? One more time.
Thanksgiving.
Thanks-ka-vegan. All right. So why don't we start? Because we already know, we talked about this a little bit off mic before we got started. We already know where this is going to get hot. What do you think, Liz? I'm going to ask you, would you like to start with the left bracket or the right bracket as we look at it here?
Oh, I'm ready to dive right into that left bracket. To me, it's no
right.
contest. So our first matchup is between canned cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes with gravy.
All right.
So,
you're so hot into this. I'm going to say, take it, because I'm probably going to laugh at what you have to offer here. And
okay.
because it's going to be creative, not because it's wrong, even though it is. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. Well, with that terrible introduction to mashed potatoes with gravy, there is a reason why the mashed potatoes scene from Lord of the Rings is so prevalent in our culture, because potatoes are the best food to ever exist. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, and for Thanksgiving, like, that is the most quintessential Thanksgiving side dish. Your creamy mashed potatoes, I like just a little bit of skin, a good amount of garlic and butter, and you put that mushroom gravy right on top. It goes with every other side dish, whatever protein you choose. It complements everything, but can stand on its own. Cranberry sauce, it's tart. It's got this really weird consistency, and I'm a texture person. I can't do it. You don't want to sit at a table while I'm trying to eat cranberry sauce. For your sake, mashed potatoes need to move on.
All right, compelling argument. But here's what I'll offer on the other side of things. When I think about Thanksgiving, I think about warm, heart-filled, delicious, and wonderful food. Now, part of that, when I think historically about Thanksgiving, not like all the weird whitewashed history that we know isn't really how it happened, but I think about family coming together, wanting to spend time. And when I envision mashed potatoes with gravy, what I envision is the boiling of the potatoes, the draining of the potatoes. Then, of course, you have a little bit of an option because, like you said, maybe you skin it, maybe you don't. In some cases, we might get the mixer out and whip them together. In some cases, with the really fancy folks, we might get the potato ricer where we squish them. Yeah. Oh, I know how this goes. And then we add a little bit of the milk and the butter, and I like everything you were mentioning. And then I have to make the gravy, all while all the people that I care about are somewhere else, and I'm not able to spend that time with them. So instead, what I like to do, in a lot of things, I tend to be the simple road kind of person. But when it comes to cranberry sauce, and I want to be really, really clear here, cranberry sauce in the can, not the stuff that, like, when you pour it out, mushes out, and you see the cranberries. I'm talking about the stuff that goes and lands on your plate and holds that same shape, and then you can cut it. Why do I like this so much? Because that's all I have to do. I have to go, and it's ready to go. And I get to talk with my family more. I get to hang out with the people that I care about more. And this whole standalone business, look, I have had meals that were just cans of cranberry sauce. Skip everything else. It's that good because it has that tartness, but it also adds a little bit of sweetness in it when it's whatever that mysterious stuff that makes it hold its shape is. And if you're going to say, like, oh, we don't know what's in that stuff, we shouldn't eat it, whatever. People eat Big Macs all the time and they're just fine with it. So when it comes down to it, in terms of simplicity, in terms of preparation, and in terms of the love that it can still offer because it allows you to spend more time with the ones you care about, cranberry sauce for the win.
I'm not swayed, Rick. It sounds like Thanksgiving's not your holiday. If you're not about the cooking and the prep and hanging out in the kitchen with your people, just do Friday night pizza and hang out with your family then. You can put cranberry sauce on the pizza if you want. Totally your call. You cannot have Thanksgiving without mashed potatoes.
It's funny you mentioned that, because what I'll say is I know not everyone is going to see with this being episode 0, but we do Friday night pizza. And I think I would rather do Thanksgiving just because, because it's interesting. But anyway, no, I love my family. I have to come back with it because potatoes, they start absorbing all the other food around them, and then they're not potatoes anymore. They're like potatoes with peas, which are cool. But then it's not mashed potatoes with gravy. It's mashed potato, turkey, peas, corn, blah, 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 blah. Cranberry sauce, it's always cranberry sauce. It knows its identity and it stands true with itself.
I think mashed potatoes are just flexible enough to go with the flow. They are confident enough in who they are to be able to play nice in the sandbox with others. Cranberry sauce, you said it yourself, and then it just stays. I don't know, Rick. I think we're at an impasse.
I feel like this one is going to have to come down to a third party decision here.
Okay,
Kyle,
Kyle.
what are you thinking?
All right.
Let's come out from your buttons and
full transparency here. If this was my Thanksgiving plate, I wouldn't choose either of those. They wouldn't make the cut. But if I had to put one in my mouth, it would be the mashed potatoes and gravy because
Woo!
freaks me out. That's it.
all right, all right. I will accept the results of this and take a peaceful transfer of power here as mashed potatoes and gravy are moving on to the final. Our next bracket, as we're looking at things right, we have stuffing with gravy and sweet potato casserole. Liz, I'm going to tell you with this one, that sweet potato casserole. Now, I know I had a lot to say about your mashed potatoes, but
Yeah, you
oh
did.
my goodness, the sweet potatoes, see, they are that sweet. They're ready to roll. You get them with a good amount of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of butter, maybe some sugar thrown in there. And then the coup de grace, the thing that just makes them stand apart is that you sprinkle a little bit of the marshmallows on them. Now, I'm curious to hear, you're going to tell me how bad marshmallows are and they're not vegan and then there's no substitute, but that's just your loss. And I'm very sorry that you don't get to experience that. But the marshmallows, as they caramelize, they give a nice texture variance where you kind of crunch through with your spoon, and then you get to the goopy of the marshmallows, and then the nice semi-solid structure of the sweet potatoes. All of it coming together for the perfect nostalgic bite that just transports you, like the food critic in Ratatouille, back to when you were a little kid and so happy with how much you love Thanksgiving. Sweet potato casserole, they are my sweethearts.
Oh, well, you've definitely brought the nostalgia up for me, Rick. I do have to say there are vegan marshmallow substitutes, so you can absolutely make your traditional sweet potato casserole. But the other option is stuffing with gravy. Now, neither of these are my first choice. Like, mashed potatoes are my first love, so I'm not super swayed either way. But thinking about stuffing with gravy, like, it's just bread and tasty fat. Like, that basically describes everything that I want to eat every day of my life. Give me the bread, give me the fats, make it savory and salty. Like, I want to feel my arteries clog as I sit down to eat Thanksgiving dinner. And stuffing with gravy really just does that for me. Add in a little, like, onions, maybe put some cranberries in your stuffing. Like, I like a little bit of a fruity stuffing. You get some nice variety.
Did you say cranberries?
Yeah, like dried, like craisins.
Not the ones that go.
No, not a full.
Oh, okay.
No, but like a little raisinette in your stuff. Like, you just have so much variety. You could do a whole meal of just stuffing. I don't know. I'm all about the bread.
So I got to be honest with you, Liz, as I was sitting here thinking about this one, I am not as devoted to the sweet potato casserole as I was to the cranberry sauce. So when I was sitting here thinking, I can hear you're definitely in the stuffing camp. I'm sitting here, I'm picturing the day after Thanksgiving. And I'm thinking about making that sandwich. And I'm thinking about putting a lump of sweet potato casserole in there versus a lump of stuffing. And due to longevity, for me, stuffing is winning this one, hands down.
Agreed. Stuffing's got it.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks to taste and longevity, stuffing is winning, going up against your beloved mashed potatoes and gravy.
Potatoes with gravy.
Wow, these are both yours. So I tell you what, Liz, I'm going to throw it back to you. I'm going to let you start off.
Rick, dude, I don't know, man. I just have to say I'm glad gravy is on the table regardless of the winner. So really, I think we've all won today. But mashed potatoes or stuffing, I mean, going back to longevity, like, that's a really good point. So much of the Thanksgiving meal is about the leftovers. I think mashed potatoes and stuffing both hold up, but I do think that stuffing holds up better. Like, when you're starting off with stale bread, to make your dish, where are you going to go from there? That's going to last in the fridge.
I'm speechless. You started off with an interesting point, was that, we're all winning because gravy's here. And I'm going to do one of those math things that, when you were sitting in school and you're like, when am I ever going to need this? Well, this is where I need it. I'm going to pull out the common denominator here of gravy, because if we have mashed potatoes with gravy going against stuffing with gravy, if we pull gravy out, because it's probably the same gravy, we're really talking about mashed potatoes versus stuffing. And when we're going that way, I started thinking to myself, what are mashed potatoes without gravy? And I mean, obviously it's mashed potatoes. And what is stuffing without gravy? And then I started thinking to myself, which one do I want to eat more? So we started with the day of. And I'm thinking, if I had to eat either one without gravy, I'm going for the stuffing. It has that stale bread, but it has all the other liquids and different things that have rehydrated it. And it has some different flavors in there. Whereas the mashed potatoes, maybe I have some salt and pepper and garlic and I don't know, maybe even a little bit of cheese tossed in there. But if you're going to put the cheese in, don't put the gravy on, that'd be bad. So now all of a sudden we're excluding things. And I have a little bit of a problem with excluding food items. But coming back to it, if I had to eat either one without the gravy counterpart, I'm leaning towards the stuffing on this one. And then thinking about the next day, without the gravy, the mashed potatoes are just like Play-Doh. We're in trouble with this one. Whereas the stuffing, like, again, I like to take the easy route. I was famous in my house. My grandmother used to make these like stuffing balls where you would just I would just do that with the stuffing the next day. I would take it, make it into a ball, and then I'd walk away and I got a little stuffing on a stick. It's like those cake pops before they were popular.
Stuffing pops?
Stuffing pops.
I think we have a winner, Rick.
I think we do too. Stuffing with gravy.
Honorable mention, making stuffing into cake pops and dipping them in the gravy.
Dude, we got to stop this episode. I'm going to go cook right now. Like, this is...
Yeah, that's it. That's it. List League is done. We are pivoting to a cooking show.
Watch me cook. We're going to have to come up with something alliteration in that one. Like,
right.
Woo, my goodness. Well, Liz, I got to say, that was a lot of fun going through it.
Yeah.
I can't say I was trying really hard not to just concede, even though you want to go until I admit that I'm wrong. But that's okay. But that was a lot of fun.
You swayed me on the stuffing, though. I didn't think I was going to vote stuffing.
It's always nice to be able to open people's minds to different ideas.
It sure
Although
is.
I'm still all about the cranberry sauce in a can. That, like, sorry, that is...
Kyle and I can agree that you're wrong on that one.
It's gross. You shouldn't make that noise.
But with our first bracket behind us now, our first baby bracket, we're curious what the audience thinks.
I want to hear how many people agree with me. Let me hear you, cranberry sauce people. Let's go.
You can tell Rick that he's wrong. He can take it. Yeah, so what would you have picked? And what would you bracket? Like, this is the start of something cool. So there are going to be a lot of brackets in our future.
And the best way to find those brackets is to subscribe to this channel. Make sure you smash that like button so that we get some upvotes. You get notifications when new content like this episode is posted. And hopefully you'll find it enjoyable. And we look forward to seeing what you think down in the comments below. So I'm going to say thank you, Kyle, because I know we're talking like the Kyle in the future. So, great Scott. Thank you for all your help that you're going to be running with all this. Even though your tiebreaker was flawed, thank you for your help with that. Liz, it was a pleasure. I'm going to sign off and say thank you, everybody, and let you all have it now.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy those stuffing pops.